Okay, we'll get started and others can join as they come. Well, thank you for taking time out of your day to join Crow Canyon's webinar on IT Help Desk and Asset Management for Office 365. We appreciate you attending, and we'll get started on the webinar. This should take, we'll try and keep it under an hour, maybe 30 or 40 minutes if we can. So let's go. So the first thing we want to do is introduce you a bit to Crow Canyon. I'm Scott Restivo, CEO of it. The company was founded 18 years ago. We're in our 18th year now. We've been delivering business solutions to customers around the world since then. We're based in the North Bay, in the Bay Area, a town called Benicia, in the North Bay of California. We have over 5,000 installations worldwide of our applications, and we've done hundreds of custom development projects. These products have been on projects and applications are on Microsoft Outlook and Exchange at first, but now primarily where our focus is on SharePoint and Office 365 and Azure development. We have a number of customers. This is a small sample of the wide range of customers that we have. I'd have to go slide after slide to show you all, but this we just set up here. Want to show you some of our customers and that they have put our trust in us and we continue to work with them over the years. Some of them go back well over a decade, sometimes all the way to the beginning of Crow Canyon. So we feel like we've built a solid trust in the community, both in the Outlook and SharePoint community. So let's talk about what Crow Canyon does. What we do, what we spend our time night and day doing is developing applications that help solve real business problems for you. People come to us and they have difficulties in what they're doing, perhaps in help desk, asset management, or some other business process. It can include a wide range of possibilities, any kind of request tracking, equipment management type program. We're able to do that. They might be using an old legacy spreadsheet. They might be using, they might be using an old legacy program or email or spreadsheets or other ways of tracking these things that they found to be inefficient. So they talked to us about how SharePoint and Office 365 can be leveraged to solve those problems. So what we've done is developed what essentially could be called a platform on top of SharePoint and Office 365. This platform has three basic elements. One is the UI UX, another is the workflow engine, and the other is the reporting. And these are used to build both our core business applications that we have as well as our custom development projects. So in the UI UX, we have a number of apps, web parts, tools, that underlie it. Now, these are all built by us. Other vendors might use third-party programs or stuff, but we use our own. We develop them, we support them, we enhance them continuously, such as a forms for UI, UX, user interface, user experience. We have Forms Manager, Cascading Lookup, Color Indicator, branding apps, portals, workspaces, anything to make the user interaction with the system much more efficient, easier to use, friendlier, to spur user adoption. Another essential part of our platform is the workflow engine. And the workflow engine has various components that act in different ways. There's the email synchronization tool, which takes emails and converts them into new tickets or new requests. These could come from any email source. We have the ability to create custom actions, alerts, notifications, to link items together. We have discussion column, print manager. We also can interact with just about any database out there, whether a CRM, a ERP system, a membership database, a client database, ordering, tracking, financial systems. So that all falls under the kind of the workflow element of our system. And then the third element of the platform is the reporting, where there's a report center, tiles and dials, dashboards, workspaces, various ways to present the information to give both a current view of the system, progress, and of the status of the ticket, request, issue, whatever, and also to provide historical data so you can cycle back and look at what is causing the number of incidents or where the requests come from and how you can improve the process, how you can hone the system to maybe improve some element of it so that the incidents indicate an underlying problem and then solve that problem. And that's sort of gets in the line of the ITIL, the ITIL framework, where a series of incidents indicates an underlying problem, so you want to fix the problem in order to reduce the number of incidents. So back to this three basic elements of our platform: UI, UX, workflow, reporting, used to build all our applications, as well as they inform or are essential part of our development projects, which makes our development projects much more cost effective because we have this layer on top of SharePoint and Office 365 that is able to provide a very substantial starting point for any custom development project such as onboarding or whatever. I'll show you some of the applications that we have going here. These are the ones we have more or less out of the box. They can work out of the box. Sometimes they require some configuration or some customization depending on your particular needs, but they cover a range of what we call core business applications, the ones that most business and organizations use: help desk, facilities, customer support, contract management, asset management, and equipment tracking have been huge for us lately. We're doing a lot with that. Purchase requests, purchasing systems. And then we also have a number of custom projects we've done for clients around the world, some of which you saw those logos earlier, but other ones we've done onboarding, security access requests, compliance, membership services, integration. One area we've done a lot in lately is compliance for electric and gas industry to make sure that their documentation and their security and their onboarding all complies with government regulations or whatever the authorizing committee, such as electric industry, it's NERC, the North American Reliability Corporation. But whatever one you have to adhere to, we can help you do that through the various combination of these applications that we have. So with that said, I want to jump in. I'm sure you want to see the program itself rather than just see PowerPoint slides about it. So we'll jump right now into the webinar, but first there are some housekeeping rules, or not rules, but like ways of doing things. And one of them is that everybody's on silence, on mute, so you can't just pop up your question verbally, but you can type a question in the question and answers, question section of the webinar. I'm sure most of you are probably familiar with webinars, but there is a screen there, and part of it is questions, another part is chat. And we'll do our best to answer those as appropriate. We have Jeff here, one of the Crow Canyon people, and Yana, another Crow Canyon person. They'll be handling the questions as they come up as much as possible within the framework of what we're doing. So if you have any questions, go right ahead and ask them in that feature. We'll make time for questions at the end. Hopefully everybody's on audio and actually hearing what I'm talking about. Hopefully that's set. If you're not, then it's something to get on right away. Anyway, audio is available by voice over IP, or you can call in with a phone is what that's meant to mean. And then we'll send you afterwards a link to the recording and a follow-up email just to see if we did answer your questions, or if there's other ones that came up, and how what we're doing might apply to your situation or your needs to help you solve your business problems and bring more efficiency, productivity, and efficiency to your organization to provide whatever services or better delivery of products and services to your customers or your clients or whomever. And I'll put this up again at the end, but we do have a website. Obviously, you can contact sales, blog. We have the blog. We've been adding a lot of articles to it lately. Hopefully, you have the chance to look at some of them. Simply crowcanyon.com/blog. And we're at many SharePoint events, and I'll highlight those at the end. The next one coming up is there's Twin Cities, a week from this weekend, DC Fest in the end of the month. So we'll talk more about that at the end. And you can contact us to find out exactly about that. Sometimes we have free passes or discounted codes for those events. So good to let us know if you're going to plan to attend so we can meet you there. Okay, now let me jump into the actual application itself. Give me a moment to switch over to that. Okay, so now we're in Office 365 here. I mentioned the platform, having those three elements of the UI, UX, the workflows, the reporting, providing the underlying girders, structure, infrastructure for this program. And in this case, we're looking at an IT help desk with asset management included in it. Now the system, the same platform, same elements could be adapted in different ways for facilities management, equipment tracking, customer service, purchasing, claims management, compliance, security access requests. I mean, it can go many, many places. And the underlying structure, the underlying components all can be used to deliver that in the way that's needed according to the particular circumstances of your application. But speak in this case, in this webinar, specifically about help desk and asset management. The first thing I want to do is ask some questions about your current system. So we're going to pop up a poll. I'm going to pop up a poll here asking, what are you currently using for your help desk? So I'm get this, see, launch the poll. If you don't mind, take maybe 20, 30 seconds. We'll get answers on that, and that will help us focus the webinar. So here, it should be showing now on the screen. Okay, let's leave it at that, and then we'll close it and show the results. And it's saying, let's see what it says here. A lot of people are using it seems like localized non-cloud. That means something on your, running in your system. Some people are still using email and spreadsheets. Others are on a web-based solution. Could be something like Spiceworks or Zendesk or something, I imagine. So yeah, good. Thank you for doing that. And the one other question we'll ask during this webinar is what challenges you're having with your current system, and then we'll get into the show. So just these two questions. This will be the second one, if you don't mind answering that. So great. I'll close that poll so we can get right into it. First, let's show the results of that. And you can see that there's a lot of some issues, you could say. Lack of customization is one. A lot of times the programs will lock you into a certain amount of functionality, and that's it, and it's difficult to modify it. End user visibility is very important in the sense of how can we make user adoption and user engagement as a highlight of the program, so that users don't keep, I won't use the word pestering, but asking the help desk for solutions and for statuses. That's very important. And reporting is also a factor that, like I say, without good reporting, you can't know how to fix problems and know what are the bottlenecks and what are the places that can be improved in the process and therefore make things more efficient. So, okay, let's jump in the program. Again, thank you for answering those polls. We really appreciate it. Most of our programs are built. I mean, the way we work is on user feedback. Having been in business 18 years, we've literally spoken with, it must be well over 10,000 IT people more, and that has really driven where we've gone with our programs, the help desk and others. Okay, so let me launch into this. Help desk right now. So here is kind of the home page of the IT help desk. You have tickets, you have assets, knowledge base, software assets, vendor, different components on the left. Now, talking about configurability, if you know SharePoint or Office 365, all these things are very, very configurable. Simply, we don't block any ability to go into site settings and change the quick launch or change different things. We have added a layer of branding on top to make it more get out of that kind of generic SharePoint-y look into something that's more lively and useful and functional. What we have are basically two ends to it. One is the front end is for users. We have a portal. I'll go into that in a minute and show that. And this back end we're looking at here is more for the staff. So the staff comes here and they want to know what's overdue, what's unassigned, what's open, pending tasks, tickets that have come in recently. The red color, with one of our color indicator tools, can show the high priority ones right away, or other choice fields can be used there to change them different colors. This color is set by you in our application administration through our tools. So right away you're getting some look at what's going on here. Of course, you can go right to the ticket list itself and look at the tickets themselves and see what's going on. And this is a list of all the tickets. You have them in the standard kind of SharePoint columns, a different kind of branding going on here, but the same column functionality. If you needed to group or sort or filter these, you could easily come in and say, I want to see only the ones where the requester is one of these people. You choose that and it will sort the list into that, or say like all the ones that are high priority. Let's do that. You do that and now it's only showing the high priority ones from this requester. I mean, you can apply different filters, one after another on it and get a really good sorting of these tickets right away. You can also come in and obviously you have the choice to view or edit it. If you edit it, let's view it first, then we'll go into editing. So you can view the ticket. Now the ticket may have come in from email. It may have come in from someone using that portal that we'll look at in a little bit, or it may have come from someone just creating it directly in here. What we've added on to help the UI in Office 365 is this tabbing functionality, as well as what we call the action bar at the top. What these do is provide the ability to present the ticket in a way that makes sense for you to do the most capable functionality, most quickest way of working on it. So we have different tabs. These tabs can be changed in our utilities. That's all these utilities I'm talking about are under application administration. but I want to show them first, and we can look at that later. But basically, it's a tabbing functionality. What tab shows up, what the name of the tab is, what fields on it, are all determined in that utility. So you have different tabs that show different information on them. And this presents a nice interface. So you can come in and you can look at this. You can see who requested it, whether it's assigned or not, if there's any knowledge base, what other related items are with it. Then if you go to, you can take certain actions such as assigning it and to a certain group of people that you've defined beforehand. You can assign it to somebody, assign it to me, I guess, and then it'll assign it, and then I'll get a notice, I'll get an indicating that I've been assigned it, and then I can go work on it and go and take the action I need to do to move it along. So this is the form that we use to display the ticket. The workflow depends on what work you need to be done. In this case, most of the time you look at it, you assign it, the person who gets the notice, assignment gets the notice, that person opens it up, and that person would most likely go into edit mode and start adding some details to it in order to move it towards closing. So what is important here is that the ticket has a lot of elements that can be used in different ways depending on your needs. There's a category and issue type with our cascaded lookup, so it might be an email problem. Now that changed the list below it, so you can categorize every ticket. You might say, well, I'll just make this email issue instead of calendar because I changed that. So then you put in description. It could be who requested it. Then on the staff, it's been assigned. So this one's been assigned to the admin account. It came from the web. It's high priority. You have a due date. The due date could be, let's say, tomorrow, and any associated knowledge base articles with it, as well as have related items such as what assets from the asset system is this related to. Let's just say to Del Vostro. And then you can have email history, all the history of every email back and forth, the associated tasks, the time tracking. So a lot of capabilities there to gather a large set of information into the ticket that's useful in many ways for resolution of the ticket. Why this is going on, we are keeping all parties informed. So when the ticket is created, whether from the portal or from an email or directly in the system, the requester is notified. The requester gets a notification that they've been that the ticket's been created. Now you can decide in our system whether you want to, what that message is, or even if you want to send it, but it's possible to send an auto reply back to the user. It can notify anybody on staff. You can set up an approval process. You can automatically assign it. You can set up a service level agreement so that the SLA, so that the due date is automatically set. So these are part of that workflow part of our platform, where when the new ticket comes in, already actions are being done to further it along the system. Then once it comes in and you know it's there, you can go in and assign it like I just did. The person gets assigned to it. That person or team or group of people that is assigned to would do some work on it. There may be subtasks that are associated with it. There may be a creation of, it may involve a knowledge base. You may have to email back and forth to the user. It may be related to an asset. All kinds of possibilities are possible in the system of how everything interrelates and interacts with each other. And then what happens is at the time of resolution, another set of workflows can go on where it closes the ticket, people are informed, the user is notified, and then becomes part of the historical record of the ticket was closed and can be looked at later or reopened. So let's look at how all these things interact with each other again. So I'll open up this desktop issue here. And when it opens up in edit mode, or it opens up first in view mode, so here we have, again, in view mode. So we'll take a closer look now as if we're working on the ticket. So we're not in edit mode. We can go to edit mode. You can email back to the person. You can assign it to someone else, self-assign, mark it closed. You can set certain actions that will take place that you define in our application utility. So you can decide to take, like, escalate it to level 2, reassign it to somebody else, whatever. Those are actions you can determine, and these are all custom actions to make part of our workflow. Close the ticket, escalate. You can set these up. These are defined in the program as part of the configuration. You can associate it with different pieces of equipment, like an asset, and see the history, the associated tasks. You can have the Here we are. Let me come back here. We can have a time tracking if you want to track time on it. So let's take this one and associate a task with it. This is a desktop issue, so it might be, I don't know, let's see, add more RAM to desktop. You know? So it's related to that ticket. It's priority normal when it started. So this becomes a subtask of it, and we'll assign it to James, and it's due by tomorrow. So this is a subtask of this ticket now, that there is now a task associated with it. The ticket forming the wrapper of this task. So there's tasks under it, and then there's the ticket itself. So the desktop issue, now you know that this person has to add more RAM. When that's done, then you perhaps can close the ticket, but you can't close it until that's done. So you wait for this to be done. When that's done, then you can close the ticket, okay? You also relate it to an asset, so let's relate it to a particular piece of equipment here. And that's done in view mode. When it's in view mode, what happens is you can go in and then you have your list of assets. So we'll associate it with the Del Vostro, save it. So you get a comprehensive view of the tickets, the assets, the tasks are all related to each other in a way that makes sense and makes the activity flow quite well. Now, if you're in the asset, from the asset perspective, if you want to look at what's going on an asset, you would go to the same Del Vostro. You see the list of assets right here. It's got category, status, department, all that. But if we look at the item itself of the Del Vostro, we now can see that the tickets and the assets are closely related to each other. So we have an asset given its own information of its category, make, model, barcoding, all this, with checkout, check-in, and its own set of functionality, its own set of tabbing, who owns it, employee, who's it's assigned to really, employee, department, where it's located, financial and history information about the asset. But most importantly, I want to point here is that you can see in the related items all the tickets that have gone on about this piece of equipment. These could be break fix or regular maintenance tasks. You look at the history of what's been checked in, checked out, the manuals that are associated with it. So now we have a view from the asset perspective of the tickets, just like from the ticket perspective, we have a view of the assets. So we also, in this program, so the way it works, the ticket system and the asset system are more or less, they're sort of independent but sort of connected at the same time. You can manage your assets in a way that are independent of the tickets, or you can manage it in conjunction with the tickets. So the asset management program has a lot of functionality in itself. It's almost like two programs embedded together in the same system. So the important thing is you can relate them to each other. So you have your tickets, you have your assets. The assets have their own set of functionality, and the tickets have their own, but they're connected with each other. Let's dive into assets a little bit more and look at the fact that there's assets, there's contracts, manuals, dashboard, all associated with it. So this is kind of like the asset part of the program. It's a subsidiary part of the program. So when you're in the asset, you can see, like I showed you, the related tickets. You can also see manuals, contracts, and other information that's related to it. And in the contract management part of it, you can see what contracts are going to become due in the next, 6 months or 3 months or whatever, so that you can keep track and be alerted when you need to renew a contract on that asset. Let me jump into that contract part of the asset program. So you see all contracts here related to what type of contract it is, when it expires, who's responsible, and what asset or assets it's related to. You see which ones have expired, and you may want to renew these, maybe not, and which ones are coming up for expiration in the next 60 days. So we have tied contracts to the assets. We also manuals. Manuals are more static. Obviously, they don't expire, so we just tie the manual directly to the asset. So now, from the asset perspective, you're able to see related documents, you're able to see related tickets, you're able to see any tasks, subtasks that might be related as far as maintenance goes on that asset. So it provides a way to manage the asset system with the idea that the ticketing system is there also for break fix and maintenance. The two work very closely together, and at the same time they have a kind of independent functionality. So it's kind of an interesting combination. While we're still in assets, let's look at the asset dashboard and talk about that for a moment. So when you're an asset management perspective, you come in and say, oh, what are the assets how can I get some reporting on this? So we've got assets by category, by vendor, by status, by service type. So we're producing a lot of reports that are very helpful in terms of asset management. Assets by category, how many of these we have, vendors, different ways of displaying these. All these are very customizable by you doing that work. Now, what I want to point out is that we have built this on Office 365. This is a reporting tool that we have put together that can take any list, whether it's tickets, assets, or whatever, and display the data in ways that are graphical and visual displays, whether it's a bar chart, a column chart, a pie chart, a line chart, all kinds of different ways that really help really help show the underlying data in a visual way. This is great for management and taking track of a visual way of tracking what's going on. So that's the report center for the assets. In the manager, in the ticket system, there's a manager dashboard. That manager dashboard includes lists of tickets as well as more reporting that applies specifically to tickets. So it's the same reporting engine, but now we're applying it to tickets. And we constructed this workspace, it's a workspace here, of a dashboard having these different elements. If you want to take our system, you know SharePoint fairly well, you can come in, edit the page, and put different web parts in here quite easily. The underlying components, though, are from us, this platform of the different way of viewing the list, the reporting capabilities of showing pie charts and what do you call them, column graphs, I guess, and bar graphs and line charts and all kinds of interesting ways of presenting this data. So that capability is built in. What you do with it is up to you. We provide these out-of-the-box dashboards, workspaces, but we also have this report center that you can use to develop as many reports as you want. This is all done in Office 365. You don't get this out of the box by any means. This is something that we put together as one of the three components of our platform. There's the UI UX. I've shown you the forms and the tabbing, the workflows, and now there's this reporting element. So you have quite ability to come in and see reports or configure reports and manage reports and create new reports. And then when you have those, you can paste them, sort of in a sense, paste them on different workspace pages if you want, or you could just use it directly in here in our report manager and develop a report here. Like, for instance, we're editing one here. You can see that it's fairly sophisticated tools for doing this. It took quite a bit to develop it, and we hope it's useful for people to use in a program such as IT or IT management or asset management or anything, whether it's claims management, customer service, equipment tracking, whatever. These kind of things we feel are really important to know where the issues, bottlenecks, to get that what I call the iterative cycle of improvement. So you can look at the data coming in. It's not just simple ticket queue management. There's analysis of that and what goes on and how we can improve it and look at it and see that there's ways to make our processes better or train people differently or replace certain hardware or whatever to make the system more efficient so you can deliver your services better, whatever they are. And this can be done in, what I'm trying to say is without the data, you don't have the ability to, and without the reporting and analytical tools, you don't have the ability to really see that other than kind of ad hoc and kind of anecdotal kind of evidence. You go to management with that and they don't quite believe it, but you show a graph and they're like, oh, okay, that makes sense now. So that kind of reporting is very important, I think, for keeping, for running a system. We found that over the years that's a really critical part, and we work to improve that. And building in Office 365 it took quite a bit of effort, but we feel like we've produced something that's very useful and functional there. Now, getting a little bit back to the ticketing system, I went through assets, I went through the reporting. And I'm getting back to the ticketing system itself, more of the UI, the workflow of that. So how can a ticket be created? Well, you can create it directly in here. You can come in here and create it. But most of the time, your end users are not going to be coming directly into this system. They can go to a portal or they can send an email. So I have an email over here set to go. I need access to Oracle. I'm going to send it to a certain database. a certain email address, I mean, and it'll become a ticket in here in a fairly short time. There'll be a new ticket popping up when I refresh it. We are getting, Jeff, I don't know if you noticed, but we are getting some questions there, so if you want to, work on those, you can, but that's good to see. So where are we? I just send in that. Another way you can enter a ticket is through a portal. Now, this portal is an interesting implementation, another thing we built on Office 365, kind of intranet portal, but what it does is it provides a way for users or customers to interact with your Office 365 support desk or case management system or help desk, whatever you want to call it, in a way that does not mean they have to directly go there. What they can go, this is a proxy that has a barrier between, a security barrier between what the users see and the system itself. There's a proxy underlying this, that conveys the information from this portal back and forth to the SharePoint system I was just showing you. So a person can come in, or a customer, a client, an agent, as we're talking to an insurance company recently, just this morning, and they have agencies that they want to have access to the system, for example. So it could be a customer, a client, it could be a person. Anyway, submit a ticket. Now, all this is very customizable. Of course, you could put your logo, or we could provide a service to customize this portal. If you don't like the picture, put a different picture, different colors, different wording. That is all secondary to the fact that when you fill out these fields and submit it, it's going to create a ticket in the system. You can set up this form whatever way you want, and then when the person submits it, they're going to see their submitted tickets right here, and they can open it up and take a look at it, at the system, and look at what's the status of their ticket on their own. And they can take certain actions on it. Let's say mini chart, it doesn't work. They can come in and add comments to it, put a comment in or upload a file, and this is all without interacting with the system directly. There's again, that security proxy that keeps the end users over here and the back end over there, so that you don't have to allow them to have complete access to the back end and all the security issues that brings up. You also give them other features such as search knowledge base or and also another interesting part of this is you can provide software notifications that apply to them, or different ways of making quick requests. Things you can do with any intranet. It's kind of interesting. And then you can make it really friendly for them to drive user adoption. So that's the UI UX part of our platform. One part of it is to drive user adoption through making the interface as friendly, useful, familiar perhaps as possible. Show your own logos, colors, give big buttons for them to push, whatever. Now we're back on the back end. On this, where on the back end, UI UX is important for the staff, but also it's important for workflow at this point. So the workflow at this point is, how does a ticket go through from initiation to resolution? How does it interact with assets and tasks? And I went through a lot of that already. I can dive into other elements like knowledge base. We have a knowledge base that can be used to help resolve tickets, and shows the frequently used articles. You can do a search of the knowledge base. You can create knowledge base articles from a ticket or from directly in the knowledge base itself. So you have frequently used articles by category, just to be something that you would build as you work on the help desk appropriate to your particular circumstances of what articles make the most sense there to do and to work on. So it's an interesting way, search, printer. So you do a search and it's going to come up with printer knowledge base articles. Now you can correlate articles with tickets, with assets. You can create an article from a ticket. You can do all kinds of things with the knowledge base articles that, again, are part of that interactivity of all these different pieces of our program. Now, there's a lot of other places I can dive into, and perhaps if you're interested, you can talk with us, either call or email to get a one-on-one demo and go dive into particular questions. So I won't be able to cover everything, but I will go into some, we'll peel back the cover a little here and go into the application administration and see what kind of tools Crow Canyon has built to make all this functionality happen. So people are, there's some questions going on, and Jeff is trying to answer them, I think, but we'll keep going along anyway. So you see in the application administration, again, this is all Office 365. We've greatly enhanced it. I say that again and again, but it is quite it's what we do night and day. I mean, this is literally, and this is what we do all day, and we have this in use in the applications, as well as we use this platform for custom business development, custom development projects that are all very interesting and quite something to put together, actually. So here we can configure any of the lists right here. You can set up your notifications and alerts. You can categorize things, set up actions. But here I wanted to showcase our apps. Now our apps are visible. We highlighted them here. They're also in site contents. So we've added a number of apps. I'll just switch over that and come back just to show you that we have a number of apps in here with these really cool icons, you know. So you can see all the icons there we have going. A whole set of apps that power this functionality I've been showing you, the branding, the cascaded lookup, color indicator, and all these other ones. But they're also accessible in that application administration here also. So if we dig into any one of these, we can see that there's functionality. Now, normally the staff people do not, you know, have to do this on a daily basis. Usually there's an admin or somebody who helps configure the application. You get it all set up, and then you can only need to change it when you find you want to tweak it. But it does give you a lot of flexibility to tweak it. So let's look at these just a little brief on each one. Cascaded lookup is those drop lists where you have category and type. It could be account and contact. It could be location and building. Anything where there's an upper level choice, and that decides what should be in the lower level choice, you know, city, state, or state, city, you know, anything like that. Forms is where we're setting up the tabbing that I was showing you in the UI, UX. Very flexible program where you can decide what tabs to have, what they should be named, what order they're in, what fields go on them. So we'll select the list of, it's populating the list here, so I'll give it a second. Here we go. So we're going to look at the tickets list. This same thing could be done for the assets. We're coming in here with the tab name. We set it up with that. We can add a new tab. We can change the order. We can take certain actions on this, such as decide what column should be on here. That's what shows on the tab itself. Very easy to change, take them off, add new ones, move these ones up and down. Very easy to configure it how you want. There's also tab permissions. And what tab has what permissions. This means certain people will have rights to read, view, or not even see certain tabs on there according to certain groups. And the same idea with columns. This is a very powerful tool and quite useful for managing the form and who gets to see what information on it. You might want to hide, for instance, account number or a social security number or something like that. Or you might want to hide a whole tab if that's appropriate. I mean, you can do that through the column permissions. Very, very, in my mind, a very powerful addition to the Office 365 interface there. So that's why I talk about UI, UX. We do that, cascaded lookup, forms, linked items, as where you link the tickets and the assets, or the tickets and a contact, or assets and whatever, you know. You can link contract, all these things can be linked back and forth. That sets that up. Email sync sets up the fact that when an email is sent in, it's converted to a ticket, and we'll check in a minute if that one I sent in got converted, but that's the tool that does that. We have the branding to set up different colors, different ways of, you know, again, a UI, UX tool. Color indicators, what turns red, if it red, yellow, green, whatever color you want, on the choice of priority. Workflow Manager has a lot of capabilities to determine what happens when something else happens in there. And the Report Manager I went into a bit. Let's go back into Workflow Manager because that's an important part of that workflow part of our platform. So if we look at that, we can see that there's a number of things we can set up. Now what we've done is this is a provider-hosted app running out on Azure that interacts. We have several of those apps I showed you are provider-hosted apps running on Azure. So you can see hopefully the underlying sophistication of what we've done here, while at the same time trying to keep the interface and what the users see and what the staff sees relatively simple yet functional. So if you come in here and you want to escalate when ticket is overdue, you can create a new one if you want it, but let's look at that one. And let's see what happens here. Oh, there it goes. So here we go. So when to start the workflow, you know, it's based on this, what conditions to run the workflow under, and what to do when the workflow is running. Very, very useful and powerful tool both for alerting, for You can set up alerting, notifications when things change, and also can run certain actions and workflows. The actions that we allow to happen at this time, where continue to enhance this, are you can create a new item, update an item, delete an item, send an email, or move an item. When something else happens, when an item is created, modified, deleted, or based on a certain time, certain other actions can happen. So what commonly is used for is when, say, the due date is approaching, you want to send a notification, or a contract expiration date is approaching, or a maintenance task on an asset is approaching. Then you want to send that and set that up. Now, in this webinar, I didn't want to go too far under the covers, open up the hood and start looking at the engine too much, but I did want to give a taste of it, and we could drill into that much more during a one-on-one demo and really get, if this is what you're interested in and want to see, then we'll dive into it. For those of you who are, more want to see the functionality on the interface than what the users see, what the reporting is, I'll stick with that. But the webinars, and we do a lot of these, and it's always, it's fun to do, it's great to present, but it's always a difficulty of knowing exactly what you are interested in. And we'd be very glad to talk to you one-on-one, no obligation, just seeing what do you need in your program? What do you see? What did you not see in this presentation, the kind of relatively short presentation that you'd like to see, or I glossed over it, or I didn't explain it quite right. So those are the things where there is no audience interaction. So hopefully, if you are interested, you'll engage us, you'll send an email or call Jeff or I, or call the 800 number, the 925, I'll put that up, and then you'll see that we will, you can have an opportunity there to talk with us more about this program. I think right now it's been, it's 11:45 here, so I think I'll just open it up for questions and go to the other screens here and see from current slide, I guess, and start there, okay? So I'll leave that up. Also, well, this one has pretty much the same information on it, that we have a Twitter account, LinkedIn, blog, sales, obviously everybody has a sales email address, and we're going to be at these shows. And also we're going to be at Twin Cities in the Minneapolis area. That's April 23rd. So, Jeff, you on there?
Yeah.
You've been answering questions. Everything looking good on that level?
Yeah, I've been replying to questions online. Some of them were replied back personally, just an individual question. The other was more global, but I've replied within the questions section on GoToMeeting. But a couple of questions came up. I've replied answers, to those, or supplied answers to those questions. But maybe a couple things you can address at a high level right now before we wrap things up. Questions came through. For example, one is someone's doing an equipment refresh, and they have a number of pieces that are coming in. Say we'll call laptops. There's 300 laptops coming in. How do we get those in bulk into the system? I did reply with the concept of creating asset types that would then potentially auto fill in certain fields. Also an import via Excel or some database that we can pull that information in as well. But do you want to just address that kind of at a high level of the concept of
sure,
the creation of assets in the system?
Sure. That's an excellent question, because now we're getting into the higher, more sophisticated level of asset management. Asset can go from asset tracking, simply a list, to quite complex management, and we're able to implement that in our program. And if anyone interested in it, we'd be glad to drill more. We've done, like I said, we've done a lot with asset and equipment tracking. Assets being, I primarily think of IT assets when I say assets, and equipment as being like vehicles, furniture, whatever, other stuff that's not IT assets. But it all kind of falls on the same category. Now, in that, to address Jeff's question, or the question that came up that Jeff passed to me, there's various ways to import. You can import the assets in. You could connect to a database. I didn't mention this, that we do have Landsweeper or other programs that we can use that are network discovery that we integrate and have a synchronization with, even if it's local, as long as we have access to that database. We can synchronize that database with Office 365. So if you did have a network discovery tool that discovered 1,000 assets on your network, and you wanted to bring those into our program, you simply set up our synchronization process, and it will automatically create those assets in our system. That works for IT assets. We could do the similar idea, probably more of a one-off, with an equipment database that has a set of data on equipment. That's another way Another possibility is if you don't want to do that, we can export it to Excel and then import it in. And like Jeff was saying, we also have ability as new assets come in to set up this asset type, like a template. Say you're buying 20, well, this has actually happened several times for us, but say you're buying like 100 Dell Inspiron or whatever, Dell Vostro 260 desktops or something. Well, you don't want to create 100 of them. We have a template, and most of the fields are filled in, and then each one gets a unique serial number or barcode number on it. But the essential of the, essentially, say 90% of the information is already filled in from that template. So there's that possibility to do it that way also. I think that, it really depends on how that asset, what database they're in, what spreadsheet they're in, if there's synchronization possibilities or if there are new assets coming in. But the bottom line is we can handle any of those. Our goal is to solve, these kind of business problems in an effective way and make sure that our system is working to provide that value to you in helping the asset and equipment tracking needs. I mean, we always say you lose a few assets, it covers more than the cost of the program, or you fail to maintain them properly, or they in the electric industry, there's actually government regulations about complying with certain rules of asset management, that critical essential assets, or what they call critical infrastructure protection projects. We do all that kind of stuff to, we get very sophisticated in making sure that we're adhering to certain regulatory requirements so that the people are in compliance, the industry, the electrical generator, or gas producer, whatever, so that when they do get audited, they can show the record of maintenance and verify that the people who are using that equipment have been maintaining it, that are properly certified and trained on that equipment. But like I say, that's a little more sophisticated than we want to get in this webinar, but we do have that capability. Crow Canyon has delved deeply into that and doing a lot of projects with several large utilities around the country that are using our system for that purpose.
So Scott, thanks for answering that question. Another question too, which is, I don't know that we've actually showed this in the demo, but we do have this in other demos in our on-premises solution. It looks to me like there's a number of current customers that are listening on that are familiar with problem and change management modules in terms of ITIL framework components. But one of the questions was, can we assign an asset or associate an asset with a problem and or a change management request that comes in? Can you as we it's the extensibility of this solution, talk about this concept of incorporating problem or change management, and then the fact that we can relate tickets and assets to a problem or a change request?
Yes, exactly. In our on-premises, we have adhered to the ITIL ITIL kind of framework as much as possible, in the sense that the tickets are essentially incidents, a number of incidents indicate an underlying problem. We allow a root cause, kind of a root cause analysis site or, process to be set up that identifies what the underlying problem is, and that can initiate a change management that then has to go through a certain approval process in order to be enacted. And then there's like rollback plans and, et cetera, the whole ITIL framework. And that's an on-premises. On the SharePoint Office 365 model, that's not showing here in this demo here, but it certainly can be brought into it. The idea with the webinar, you don't quite know where the sweet spot is, whether it's, some people come and say that's too much, some people come and say it's too little. So we try and hit that Goldilocks, thing of saying, here's enough to get you interested and ask these kind of questions. And yes, we can definitely go down into the problem management and change management issues. We have that all done in the on-premises, and I don't want to jump into that and bring the whole on-premises thing in. We could show that another time, but we have done other webinars on that. We can do one-on-one showing that, but definitely we are totally on board with that program. It's just that some organizations don't want to go with ITIL and the whole overhead, I guess you could say, of the implementation of such a system. And overhead also includes cost, so these things cost more and have more sophistication. You're a two-person help desk, you don't want to have to, it's overkill, basically. So the concept is basically okay, but enacting it, you just make a ticket into a problem. A ticket stays at the incident level, and you can integrate you can have like one master ticket that sort of groups the other tickets together, they're related to each other. And I think that answers it, I hope, without getting...
Yeah, one thing, maybe I can further, add some further information here to clarify to the concept of linking items. Is that you've seen in the demo we have, associated related items. For example, the relationship of an asset to a ticket or tickets to assets. So it's the same concept in linking an asset to a problem or an asset to a change request. Is we use the same utility, same tool, same web part, and linking an item to another list item. So within the asset itself, you would see under related items, related change or related problems. And then we would make that link. And then on the flip side, if we go back over to the help desk itself and we look under existing problems, open that up, you would see that there's also an asset associated with that problem or that change. So we would use that functionality to make that relationship, and the relationship would happen in both in both applications.
I could show that in the I could show that in the on-premises version if we wanted, but it's easy enough to.
I don't think we need to go there right now. But it's just what I've done is I've explained or provided some response to questions internally, and also gave my personal email address and phone number. So you're free to reach out to me directly, and we can talk about these more specifically. And that might be helpful just to have a brief discussion on some of these questions that you guys have asked as well. So feel free to reach out directly, and I've posted my phone number and email address in the questions. And maybe what I'll do right now is just in the chat section as well, I'll post my content.
Yeah, put some information there.
Directly there as well.
Someone was asking, I think I got this question right, about using it for multiple groups or multiple purposes. And yes, we can definitely. We can see the concept we have going is like it's a service request system that can supply multiple business functions. So you could have an IT help desk with a facilities help desk, with a HR help desk, all with separate queues and separate forms, and similar interface, same administrative backend, same kind of things, same interface for the users and all that, a lot of commonalities, yet each one retains a certain autonomy at the same time, and that's through site permissions and site, configuring the form a little differently, or configuring notifications, alerts, workflows a little differently, but it's all within the same system. So that can also be done even within the IT world, say, because help desk, software development, facilities. Someone's Jeff, I think it's, so asking about that. And that's kind of the same idea, is that we can, segment or silo these things, these different departments or different groups in the program, like keeping it within the same framework. We might even have a portal that is presented to the end user, and they have a choice to what kind of ticket or you want to submit. And then when it gets submitted on the back end, it goes into, say, tickets, and might have another one up here for facilities, another one up here for HR or whatever, and those are particularly adapted for those purposes. And like I was saying earlier, the same platform underlies it's the girders, the infrastructure, the framing, you could say, underneath. So you got the report center, you've got the workflow engine, you've got the UI UX going, and all that, and how you configure those really is determined by the need that you have to do there, but essentially it's very similar, to make that happen. Okay.
Great. Well, so Scott, I know we're at the top of the hour now, and want to go ahead and wrap things up. And that way, there will be a recording of this that we'll make available as well, and you'll receive an email from us after this webinar. Getting access to that recording. You can find that recording on our site as well. Under we have a videos library, and under that videos library there is a webinar section.
Yeah, we'll
go back and review that. And
yeah, we'll send it out also, a link to it, put it on YouTube or something. But basically, Crow Canyon, we're very excited about what we're doing, the work we're making here, and how we can help organizations run their businesses more efficiently and smoothly. We participate highly in the, as much as possible, in the SharePoint Office 365 community, going out to the shows, and hopefully we'll meet some of you, or maybe we have already. We were just in Texas last week, and we're going to Minnesota this week, not this weekend, the weekend after, then DC. and all these other places. So the idea is to get out there and meet people and really hear what they have to say about what their needs are. And as Jeff is saying, and you can't make it to the show, that's okay. That's not an issue here. What is important is that we communicate and follow up on these questions. So there's Jeff's email address, the sales email address, the phone number, all that. Let's stay in touch. And meanwhile, thank you very much for attending this webinar. I hope it's been helpful and useful. And we hope to hear from you more on it and work with you on solving these business issues that come up. So I want to thank everyone for attending. Thank you, Jeff, for helping out. And we'll talk to everybody hopefully soon. Thank you. Have a good day, everyone. Okay, bye.